The Giants are finalizing a deal with Patriots wide receiver and special teams coach Joe Judge, who is 38. He'll be the third youngest active head coach in the NFL, older only than Sean McVay and Zach Taylor. And the question a lot of people had yesterday was, who in the world is Joe Judge? Well, at least resume-wise, he has worked under arguably the two greatest coaches of recent times or any times, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, both in the last 10 years. The last 7 of them were in New England, where he was the special teams and wide receivers coach. And the reaction in the New York press was typically understated. A judge over Rule. Somehow people in New York had decided that if they didn't get Matt Rule, the franchise might as well just fold up and cease to exist, even though not one person saying that could have identified Matt Rule in a lineup a year ago at this time. Having said that, Dan Graziano, how did we get to this place? Let's start with the Giants.
Giants interviewed a bunch of people. They interviewed Joe Judge on Monday. They were supposed to interview Matt Rule today, but Monday they met with Joe Judge. They fell in love. From what I've told with the people that were in the interview, they were blown away by him. One person said, best coach interview we've ever done, and unfortunately we've done too many of them. So what happened is Matt Rule's, talking about getting on a plane to come to New Jersey and interview with the Giants, but he's got this offer from Carolina. The Giants know that Joe Judge is also talking to Mississippi State. Not that they were worried about losing out to Mississippi State, but Mississippi State wanted an answer. So the timetable just kind of got all crunched because, when you're making these huge franchise-altering decisions, you want to do them as quickly as possible. And, somebody hadn't met 24 hours earlier. But, look, they really felt like this guy blew them away in terms of everything he said, how to run a team, how to relate to players, all this kind of stuff. So they feel good about it. They talked to Matt Rule. He was down the road with Carolina. They said, all right, good luck. And Joe Judge, I guess, had to call Mississippi State and tell them no thanks.
So, Nick, when you hear how all of that unfolded and who the Giants ended up with, what comes to mind, especially considering the fact that, this is a scenario where this guy's going to be asked to develop Daniel Jones and much more?
Yeah, I don't want to denigrate Joe Judge. I don't know him. I hope he does well, and maybe he's as amazing as they think he's going to be. And the reason why they have so much experience is because they aren't necessarily good at hiring head coaches. So it doesn't bode well necessarily for Joe Judge. So I don't want to be critical of him. I hope that it works out for him. But it doesn't seem like the Giants is an organization where people want to go, or a marquee organization in a way that we think it is. Because why rush to make this decision well before some of the big-name guys, some of the big-name coordinators, who is normally a guy you would hire, a big-name coordinator who's had a lot of success before they're even out of the playoffs? This is not college. You don't have to worry about recruiting. You can wait until you get your right guy. But it seems to me that they are all behind David Gettleman. That's what this hire suggests to me, because if you bring in a big-name guy with a lot of cachet and a lot of power, he can push around David Gettleman to a point where now you bring in this guy who's, frankly, probably just happy to be there, and maybe he's going to be great, but he's just happy to get this job. It seems to me that puts a lot more power in the hands of David Gettleman.
Well, so, Graz, let's answer this question. I think there emerged a perception yesterday that the Giants lost out on Rule because he didn't want to go there because Dave Gettleman was there, and that in general, to amplify the point Nick is making, that Gettleman's presence has made the Giants a less attractive destination. Is that an accurate description of the situation?
I don't think it is, because Matt Rule had interest in the Giants, and Carolina blew him away with a contract offer, and the Giants met somebody else that they think they like better, so that's why it didn't work out. He had an interest in the Giants knowing that Dave Gettleman was going to be there. The Giants have made that clear to the public and to potential interview candidates. The thing about the Giants front office that concerns some people, not all, but some, is not Dave Gettleman's presence, but just sort of the way it works, the family operation. How involved is ownership? How involved is Chris Mara in terms of personnel? There's a lot that goes on there that's unique to that situation. But I don't get the sense that Matt Rule didn't want to go there for that reason. I think he didn't want to go there because David Tepper offered him $60 million.
I guess, and I understand that. I agree with that. It makes sense. But I would make the argument that a guy, and I think Mr. T was on set, Tannenbaum was on set last week talking about how a guy with enough cachet can come in and demand that he has final decision-making power. A guy like Joe Judge, he doesn't have the leverage to demand those things. So that's the only point I'm making, is this job seems to be a job that is more comfortable, or this opportunity is more comfortable with leaving the power in Gettleman's hands and not giving it off to
Well, yes, I think that part of it is indisputable. Whether it's a problem or not is what we're talking about.
That's how the Giants run their business.
They have decided to keep Gettleman there. So no coach who was going to demand total control of the organization was going to even consider it, which would have dismissed, if there were even possibilities, the Urban Meyers and the Lincoln. I mean, if that was even in the conversation, I never heard that to begin with.
No, I don't think it was. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, really, Joe Judge is a guy that if you talk to people that worked with him at Alabama back in the 09 year, they said he's meticulous. He's very focused on every single thing that matters. And he started from the bottom, so he knows every single level of an organization. You know, he's been through all that.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube.
For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app.
And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.